about a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for basements. Yeah, I lost my way, but I hear tell about a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for basements.
Hi, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back to another New West Reset Live. That's right. We're live. Episode 53 here tonight. Is that right? 53? Wow. Yeah, so welcome. It's Friday. Happy Friday to you. A little bit of a later start. A couple hours later than I normally do. Again, a guy had to work till 6 p.m. So I just got home and threw some food into my eating hole so it goes down my food tube. So it's just a scotch past 7 p.m. local time here. That's Mountain Time, of course, Mountain Standard Time on this Friday, February the 16th, 2024. So yeah, how's she going there, eh? How you doing there, eh, everybody? It's the weekend, or at least for most of us, the start of the weekend. So yeah, as mentioned, happy Friday to you. Thanks for kicking off your weekend here with yours truly. As per usual, we're coming at you live from the foothills of the Canadian Rocky Mountains here in southwestern Alberta. I'm in Calgary. So Calgary in Purdy, Alberta. And it was pretty nice today. It was beautiful. Sun was shining, big blue skies. It was a little chilly this morning, right? It was around minus 15 Celsius. But even now it's only minus 4 Celsius. So barely below zero. Not bad at all, actually. Warmed up a bit. We've had a bit of a streak where it's been pretty warm. Pretty much all last week was not too shabby. Had a couple of days where, it dipped down to around minus 15 Celsius or so. But hey, that's nothing compared to what we've had. So it's a walk in the park. So hopefully you're doing well and your weather is cooperating with you. You're not freezing to death or drowning in your own perspiration because you're hotter than Satan's taint wherever you are. Speaking of wherever you are, say hello in the box. Jump into the chat and say howdy. Let me know where you're shooting in from. Speaking of which, Jesse's here. Jesse Nix. Hello. Good to see you. Howdy. Title's here, everybody. Orphan Annie's in the box. Good to see you, Annie. Hope you're doing well. Old World, Michigan. How you doing, sir? Three Fingers. Howdy. How are you? Darren, and my glasses. Been looking for them. These or these. Good to see you. How you doing? And Terry's here. The woman of the hour, the lady of the hour. I don't know. I'm not going to say the lady of the evening because that's just wrong. But anyways, Terry's here. And tonight is based on some research that Terri was helping out with behind the scenes. Well, I say helping. She was doing most of it. Most of it. Yeah, we're having the Chinook salmons and the Chinook helicopters right now. It's fantastic. Very, very fantastic. Chassis from the Mississippi, the old Miss. Beautiful, beautiful. Not getting any flooding down there right now, are you, Chassis? Hopefully not. I know she has a tendency to flood down there in Mississippi, you see. That's why they got all them levees and whatnot down there. Hippie Shake in the box. Hi, Hippie. Thanks for shooting in. Good to see you. Cousin Vinny. Hey, how you doing? Hey, you got Frankie Fingers and you got Cousin Vinny over here. Much more can you want, huh? So what you're saying is Frankie Fingers is New West Reset? Frankie Fingers is New West Reset. I don't understand, okay, I've been trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, Frankie Fingers is New West Reset. New West Reset is Frankie Fingers. So it's the same guy. Same guy. Yes, it's the same guy, Mutt. What do you think? I've been trying to tell you. Frankie Fingers, New West Reset. Frankie Fingers, New West Reset. Okay? All right, I got it. Jeez. So we begin with the shenanigans. We got some shenanigans indeed. Some chicanery. Some shenanigans and some chicanery tonight. Because, as mentioned, it's a collaboration of sorts. Thanks to the fine work of our friend Terri. There she is. We're looking at a couple of old world Canadian castle-like mansions or estate homes or, I mean, let's face it, once we have a look at them, you'll probably agree, yep, yeah, those are castles. Those look like castles, all right. We're going to be looking at a couple of those over in the T-Dot, over in Tirana, you know, the T.O, Toronto, Ontario. We're looking at a couple of those, and we're going to look at a brickworks factory too, because that's where the shenanigans come in, you see. Yeah, Fab Collab. There you go. A Fab Collab. So as mentioned, hope everybody's doing well and you're not freezing your bippy off because it's brass monkey weather out there for a lot of us. But anyway. So as per usual, by the way, if you want to get a hold of me and you want to do a collaboration of some sorts, or hey, you just want to send me some cool pictures or maybe a video of your area, you've been doing some boots on the ground, mudflood walkabout, or what have you, you want to get a hold of me, links in the description below. Email, MeWe, and of course, as per usual, we're broadcasting live simultaneously on the HooTubes and over on the fighting platform, the Rumbles. So links for that below as well, and BitChute. So howdy to everybody on the HooTubes and on the Rumble. But if you haven't already, consider giving a fellow one of these. You know, if you're liking it so far, I mean, not much has happened so far, but if you like it, hey, you know, shoot a guy a thumbs up, or maybe give a fellow one of these. I don't know if you think this is a train wreck. This is a dumpster fire, this show. But, you know, it helps a fella out with the algorithm as we move our way towards 1,400 subscribers, or 1,500 actually, just reached 1,400. Last week. So thank you very much to all of you. I got some new faces, new names, new friends shooting by the channel. So howdy and welcome to all of you. Appreciate the support as always. And speaking of moving towards 1,500 subscribers, Got some stuff coming up here, some projects. The Knuckleheads, episode 10, coming up here shortly. Myself and Chris from Old World Exploration. We'll be looking at Cambridge, Ontario. Yo. And as mentioned, the 1,500 sub thing, I'm planning for a 1,500 subscriber meetup spot and mudflood walkabout place, area, location. Somewhere here in the city. So our last meetup was on Stephen Avenue, 8th Avenue Southwest, downtown. And that was a lot of fun. It was a beautiful day. So that was for my 1,000 subscriber meetup. So kicking around a couple of neighborhoods for 1,500 subscriber meetup spot. While we're at it, speaking of links, in the box below, there's a link as well for a little project that Vincent in the chat, where is he? Cousin Vinny. There he is. Project that he worked on very hard. It's New West Reset location map on the goggle machine. And I'm just going to share it with you here so you can see what a feller's talking about. Boop. There it is. Can you see that? I think you can see that. Yeah, you can. So what he's done here is he's created a thing. And all of these where you see my my icon, my logo, my avatar, if you will. You press that, and a window pops up here, gives you the address, it gives you a link to the video. You click on that, and it opens a new tab and takes you right to the video. So, as mentioned last year, for the 1,000 subscriber meetup mudflood walkabout, we did it here of Stephen Avenue. We kind of met. We met here, I believe. And we basically did a mudflood walkabout from 8th Avenue and I think 6th Street Southwest here on this corner, all the way down Stephen Avenue or 8th Avenue Southwest here, right to the beautiful old City Hall, right here. So a guy's thinking perhaps for the 1,500 subscriber meetup, perhaps over here in Kensington, because there's a lot of great places there. Or I'm thinking Inglewood, right in here, right in this area here. Probably not this area of Inglewood, but the main drag here from, which is also, it's 9th Avenue Southeast. So starting about here, just beyond Fort Calgary, east of Fort Calgary, down here, and maybe zip up and down a couple of these side streets as well. That's Calgary's oldest neighborhood, Inglewood, at least by what they tell us. So I'm thinking either that location, Inglewood there, or Kensington for a mudflood walkabout meetup. You know, assuming that I hit 1,500 sometime in the summer, which hopefully. Maggot's here. Howdy, Maggot. Good to see you. Hey, Sage is here as well. Dragon Sage. Oh, yeah. See, Sage would know. Sage is out east in Canadian land. Are you really? You're going to change the marker from my logo to my finger? Sure, why not? Why not? All the places I've poked. Jebru Joe says that looks like a downtown map of all the people I owe money to. Well, you don't owe Frankie Fingers any money, do you? Eh? God forbid you owe Frankie Fingers some money. So now you know what I'm talking about with the whole New West Reset thing. No. What? No. What I said about Frankie Fingers. That Frankie Fingers a New West Reset of the sand. Wait, what?
Oh yeah, she don't stand no cheating. She don't stand none of that.
Yeah, Inglewood is bricky, very bricky, and very sandstony, and very churchy. Also, there's at least two, if not three, beauty churches, old churches in Inglewood. Yes, out the wazoo, as UAP would say. Yeah, he would say wazoo, but I say out the wazo. Wazoo is bastardized version of wazo. And wazo is French for bird, which is just kind of a slang term for, it's coming out your butt, or coming out your bird, or coming out your dick, or coming out your groin, coming out your ears, coming out as orifices of some kind. Orifices is? I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. Jesse says, I haven't been to Canada yet. I'd like to go during summertime. Yeah, that's probably the best time to come up here is in the summertime. If you want to come up to Canada land, I mean, God bless you if you want to come up in January or February when it's probably the coldest. I mean, it's beautiful either way. A fella's a little biased, but we got a beautiful piece of property up here in Canada land, Something like 60-ish% of Canada is like undeveloped. It's still wilderness and forest and mountains and tundra and whatnot. But yeah, from coast to coast to coast, Canada's a beauty, eh? So, but yeah, if you want to come up, I would say July. Hell, come to Calgary in July. You can see the Calgary Stampede, the world's biggest rodeo. You can see real cowboys that work on the ranches, and then but they also ride the bronco or the bull riding, or they do the chuck wagon races and whatnot. It's amazing. Like, from a guy originally from out east like I am, I dig that cowboy stuff, I gotta tell you. And yes, absolutely, it's full of itchy bison. But don't worry, we got the buffalo rubbing stones, don't we, Vince? We got them there, buffalo rubbing stones. Anyway, what do you say we get the show on the road here? Quit screwing around. So I think what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to share. We're going to be looking at, how do I want to do this? Yeah, I'm going to share an article that Terri shared. It's actually a blog, and it's entitled How Toronto Demolished the Finest Mansion in Canada. It's a little bit of an older blog or article. It's from 2020. That's fine. I mean, it's already been demolished. Not they're going to rebuild it and demolish the dang thing again, are they? No thanks. Get out of here. There we go. So this is from Blog TO, Toronto, Ontario. How Toronto demolished the finest mansion in Canada. Why can't I highlight that text? That's weird. Here we go. Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, or should I say Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Dowdeswell is one of 4 Canadian vice-regal representatives to be officially homeless. Oh dear, not a homeless politician, not a homeless bureaucrat. For shame. I feel terrible. Well, at least now they know what it's like. But anyway, Toronto pulled down its last government house, an astonishingly opulent mansion, even among its Rosedale neighbors, in 1959, in the name of cost saving. Giving us just a little peek of this thing. They knocked this thing down in 1959 because she was too expensive, you see. Special place in hell, I'm going to tell you. Just over a century ago, on the 15th of November, 1915, the first official guests were welcomed inside the Grand Hall of Ontario's $1 Million Palace. 20 years later, it was It was be derelict? That's pretty good or English there, eh, bud? Even for a Canadian. And 20 years later, it was be derelict. What the hell kind of broken English is that? Anyways, Chorley Park is now largely forgotten, save for the small piece of it that remains on the edge of the Don Valley. So Chorley Castle, the house, Chorley Manor, Chorley Park, the land on which it sat, is in the Don Valley. A beautiful valley, green, lush, right there in the T-dot. What's a buffalo rubbing stone? Okay, quick side note, because I got to answer Old World Michigan's question here. He's an old friend of the channel. So Vinny and I went to Heritage Park this past summer. It's a amusement park set up like a living museum, set up like a 1900-ish prairie town. They got it set up in different sections, actually. One section is like 1840s, 1850s, when there was just a few cattle ranchers. Then 1860s to 70s, 1880s to 1890s, 1900 to 1920s, there and abouts. And one section where it's got a replica of the Hudson's Bay Trading Company fur trading fort, an outpost. And beside it was a beautifully, smoothly polished stone that was probably about the size of what would you say, Vince? 20-pound bag of potatoes. And smooth like glass. A big like stone, like just sort of, random shaped big stone. About the size of a gravestone, but way thicker. Anyway. Smooth, polished, smooth, right? And then a plaque beside it saying, oh, well, they got that smooth because buffalo would get itchy. So they would rub against these big, massive stones. And eventually, over hundreds and thousands of years of buffalo being itchy and rubbing up. Oh, yeah, rubbing up against that. It feels good, right? That it wore down and polished to a nub these buffalo rubbing stones. The most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. Anyway, moving on here. So Ontario's first 3 official government houses were located outside the western boundary of the town of York, which was then largely clustered around Front Street east of Yonge Street. York, Toronto used to be called York. And then New Amsterdam became New York. So to avoid confusion, York and New York, and there's already a York in England. So they say, okay, we'll change it from York to Toronto. So the first residence, a basic single-floor brick building near Fort York, was destroyed when British troops detonated the Grand Magazine, a giant weapons cache, while beating a hasty retreat out of town during the War of 1812. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Brits. Sheesh. As the city grew, Ontario's viceregal residence found its way to a mansion at the center of a large plot of land on the southwest corner of King and Simcoe Streets, where Roy Thompson Hall is now. In the late 1800s, the 4 corners of that intersection were nicknamed legislation, education, salvation, and damnation. Yeesh. I wouldn't want to live on the corner of damnation. With Government House representing legislation, neighbors, Upper Canada College Street, Andrews Church, and the British Hotel represented the rest. Notice they're not telling us which was which. I would guess the college would be education, and the church would be salvation, so I guess the British Hotel is damnation. Elmsley House, the first of 2 government houses to occupy the King and Simcoe corner, that's King Street and Simcoe Corner, stood among lush woodlands west of the town. Built in 1798, the 2-story home would have been a short walk from the center of commercial activity and was originally the private home of Chief Justice John Elmsley. The province bought the building in 1815 and was occupied by successive lieutenant governors until 1841. In 1870, a purpose-built government house was built on the former site of Elmsley House and remained there until the arrival of factories and rail lines gave the area a distinctly industrial feel. So you can see that we're now already on our fourth government house and like the third location. And now they're saying, oh, but this location, it turns out wasn't so great because now it's in a place that's got an industrial feel because of factories and rail lines. The land was sold to Canadian Pacific, which built a rail yard and freight office on the site. With the loss of Old Government House, as it came to be known, the province sought a location for a new residence, one that would outshine of its predecessors in grandeur. Why, their English is worser than mine is. A conspicuous ornament to the city, in the words of William Dendy, author of Last Toronto. Province bought a site on Bloor, backing onto the Rosedale Ravine, where the Manufacturers Life Building is now, and held an architectural competition. Oh, of course they did. That produced several viable designs. Several were given serious consideration, but eventually rejected because of cost. Bunch of cheapskates. Fearing the Bloor Street site would become surrounded by heavy industry like King and Simcoe, the city decided to sell the land and use the proceeds to purchase a new location. So they bought the land and sat on it and didn't build anything on it because it would have been too expensive. And then they just turned around and sold the land again. Bunch of jackasses. Into the search stepped William James Gage, a wealthy philanthropist and businessman. He offered to sell his estate at Bathurst and Davenport, just west of Casa Loma. For the same amount, Ontario was willing to pay for a site in leafy Rosedale. Well, isn't that a quinky-dink? Gage also pledged to use the money he would earn from the land to establish a public botanical garden nearby. Oh, what a fine feller. The deal appeared to have the support of council, and it was suggested the city buy the Rosedale land, being eyed by the province, thereby seizing the chance to get two parks for the price of one. The province, however, had other ideas. It rejected Gage's offer and forged ahead with its Rosedale site known as Chorley Park. After the town of Chorley in Lancashire, England, the birthplace of Toronto Alderman John Hallam. Okay, so there's the connection. I was like, why would they name it after Chorley in Lancashire, England? Like, who cares? But it's because some alderman from Toronto was born there, so okay. Why not? The final design for the grand residence was drawn up by Francis R. Heeks, the province's official architect, also responsible for the Whitley Block on Queen's Park Crescent, in the style of a French Loire Valley chateau. Oh, how lovely. Heeks's blueprints borrowed heavily from submissions to the 1911 design competition, including many of the exterior details and floor plan. It was limited to a budget of $215,000. So the guy's blueprint basically just copied, he borrowed heavily from the submissions from the contest. So in other words, he copied what he liked from a bunch of the contest entries and stole that stuff and then submitted it as his own. Scoundrel. What a dirty, dirty scoundrel. What rose from the scrubby ground in East Rosedale between 1911 and 1916 was unlike any other building in Canada. Gray Credit Valley stone exterior was worked into ornate detail. Little tourelles, small pointy roofed turrets, embellished the corners of the three-story palace. Now, they do have some pictures here, but I'm kind of blowing past them because we've got better photos. Well, these and better photos. The chateau style was in vogue in Canada at the time due to its popularity in France. The railways would build the Chateau Frontenac, Banff Springs Hotel, Chateau Laurier, and the Royal York with the same look in the years to come. No, they were already there. The railroads just claimed them, but that's just my opinion. Trolley Park's Greystone exterior was capped with red ceramic tile and surrounded by carefully landscaped gardens that included a large square forecourt for receiving official guests. The winding driveway reached the main entrance via arched concrete bridge that still stands today. Yeah, that's the only thing that still stands today, by the way, is the freaking bridge. Inside, an imposing 3-story reception hall basked in sunlight from a massive rooftop window. Passageways led off to a ballroom with a domed glass ceiling. Well, you don't say. A domed ceiling. The official state dining room, clad in carved fumed oak and Cayenne limestone, Cayenne, Keen, Seen, Sayin, I don't know. A suite of reception rooms and a glass conservatory that overlooked the Don Valley. Sounds fetching. Nope, gotta knock it down. Look at the inside of this thing. Beauty. Absolutely beauty. Don't tell me this ain't a castle. Right in Toronto. Much of the interior design work was done by the Timothy Eaton Company, a now defunct nationwide chain department store, much in the vein of the Hudson's Bay Company or the Bay. You know, like a Macy's kind of a deal. A photo taken in 1916 shows a full polar bear skin rug with a head still attached at the center of the reception hall floor. Yeah, right there. Dear goodness gracious, it still has the head attached. The bill, when it finally arrived, was more than $1 million. They didn't build all those other ones because they were too expensive. And this one was only supposed to cost 215,000 Canadian doll hairs. And it ended up being more than 1 million simoleons. Figure that out. More than 4 times the original budget. Yeah, that's right. It was deemed worthwhile, however, to secure such a stunning work of architecture. To secure it, you need to build it. So did you secure it? Did you secure it, or did you construct it? Seems an odd choice of words. Now, if you just found it, fixed it up, and repurposed it, then you would say, sure, you secured the building. Had you excavated the property and dug out a big hole and poured a foundation and then started laying in stones and wood frame on the inside, then you could say constructed. But okay, your choice of words, not mine there, the blog T.O. The ongoing cost of maintaining the ostentatious mansion proved to be its eventual undoing. The conservative provincial government found the cost even harder to justify as the Depression began to take hold in the 1920s. It's already built. Like, what is it? It's too big to heat or something? So what? I mean, the governor or the lieutenant general or whoever's staying in this place, the queen or whoever's visiting, just have them stay in one wing. Close off the rest of the damn place and heat up that one wing. Despite voices calling for the house to be abandoned, it lingered on as the official home of Ontario's lieutenant governor until 1937, when the fine furnishings and fixtures were stripped out and sold at auction. So on one hand, they're so proud of it, and it was worthwhile, even though it cost $1 million. But then on the other hand, oh no, now it's too costly. Despite voices calling for the house to be abandoned, who? What insane voice would say, oh, just abandon that gorgeous castle. Just abandon it. Just leave it. Turn your back on it and walk away. When WW2 began, The gutted interior was converted into a military hospital for wounded soldiers. Of course, how often do we hear that too? Some old mansion is, or some old castle is reused to be a military hospital. Chorley Park, the name of the house / estate / property, met its eventual end in 1959. So what, 40 years after they built it, supposedly? When, with the last of the patients gone and a brief period as a refuge for Hungarian immigrants fleeing the revolution over, the Metro government under Fred Gardiner ordered the building torn down. There's no way that just some governor should be able to say, tear it down. If it's part of if it's a building that's being paid for, its maintenance or its upkeep is being paid for by either province of Ontario or the federal government of the country of Canada, the taxpayers are paying to maintain that thing, which means the taxpayers should be consulted on whether it should be torn down or not some friggin' jagoff that just says, tear it down. I'm tired of it. All that remains today is the concrete arch bridge and square forecourt. The land is now a public park, as W.J. Gage once planned. Ontario's official vice general residence is currently located in the west wing of the legislature building. So if the lieutenant governor or whoever could maintain residence in the west wing of the legislature, one of the legislature buildings, then why not just do that from the get-go? Why spend the $1 million in the first place and then tear it down 40 odd years later? The whole thing is shenanigans. Say it with me now, shenanigans. Yeah, it's redonkulous, dude. Redonkulous. Anyway, let's look at what Wikipedia says about Government House here real quick. How's everybody doing in the box there, by the way? Oh, of course. There's an expressway in Toronto named after Gardner. How apt. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why I kind of pinned that article as kind of the first article to look at. That was kind of the whole jumping off point. Oh, it used to be a canal. Sage says it used to be a canal. There you go. Thanks for the skinny on that, Sage. Couldn't they have made it into anything, right? A college campus, like a satellite campus for, I don't know, University of Toronto or University of Ontario or University of Waterloo or one of the dozen universities in Ontario. Oh, it's always with help from the Masons and Jesuits, right? So yeah, that's just dumb as all hell. 1915 to 1959, and then we're going to tear it down. As if you believe those construction dates, Morgan's in the box. Isabella Live 2.0. Howdy. Lighten for Truth says it makes one wonder if there's a hidden bunker somewhere under there. Just a thought. Oh, there's probably hidden stuff under a lot of these. Well, I know that there's actually hidden tunnels under the legislature buildings in Ottawa. Some of them, subscribers have told me about, and they said, I remember when I was a kid, I used to be able to climb up the embankment and go and mess around in them tunnels and stuff, but now they're all sealed off. And there's tunnels that join one legislature building from another, because it's actually a complex of buildings there in Ottawa, right on Capitol Hill. It's not just the beautiful legislature with the clock tower in the middle of the the Parliament building and the library in behind. I mean, there's a whole bunch of buildings. Anyway, let's see where this government house, what's going on with this thing real quick. So it was the official residence of the Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada and Ontario, Canada. 4 buildings were used for this purpose, none of which exist today, making Ontario one of 4 provinces not to have an official vice-regal residence. So they went over this before. There was, the first was a wooden building that was somebody's house. And then Navy Hall on Niagara-on-the-Lake, some other castle. Yeah, here it is. It was a 1-story U-shaped frame house at Fort York. And the second one, oh, come on, man. Could be bopping around. Take it easy now. So after the destruction of Fort York, yeah, that's when the Brits blew it up for some reason. I don't know why, because they were on our side in the War of 1812. It was versus the Americans. So maybe they were fleeing the fort. They were like, we got to get the hell out of here. The Yankees are coming. And they blew it up on their way out. Who knows? But anyways. Then there was another one, the John Emsley estate. Yeah, here it is. The Elmsley House, not Emsley, Elmsley House. I'm confused. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page and I'm still confused, for crying out loud. Here it is. This is the one they knocked down. Well, they've all been knocked down or moved or burned or bloated up at some point or another. See, even this one is nice. The 3rd government house. That was pretty nice, this one. Anyway. So this is the one here that they knocked down in 59. I mean, if it could last through the Great Depression, which I would hope so, because supposedly it was finished in 1915 or whatever. So you're only 15 years in by the time the Great Depression hits. But you'd think, if it survived the economic crash of, the 30s, that, it would be fine through the 50s, the post-war boom of the 50s. But no, knock it down. Current facilities. So Ontario's Lieutenant Governor uses an office and suite of rooms for entertainment in the Ontario Legislative Building and lives in his or her private Toronto home, or is provided a rented residence by the provincial government. Since the closure of the last government house, whenever the sovereign is visiting Toronto, he resides in the Royal Suite at the Fairmont Royal York Hotel. Yeah, because they don't have an official place for any highfalutin kings and queens and whatnots to stay anymore, because they knocked this freaking beautiful house down, this castle. Because it was too expensive. What, holding a room at this place? 365, 24/7 isn't expensive? Calgary here does the same thing, by the way. We don't have a place like if the queen or king or whoever comes to visit, or some highfalutin big shot. They stay at the Palliser Hotel here in the city, which I've actually done boots on the ground video on already. So I mean, that's just that's 4 of them, and none of them are around anymore. It's the stupidest thing ever. Old World Mi'kmaq in the box. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you, my friend. Awakening Soldier. Thanks for shooting in. Appreciate it. Yeah, the reptile, the reptile in charge. Ontario. Yeah, terrible. Terrible. Neutral Mass is in the box. Howdy, good to see you. Yeah, this is some ridiculous shit. Pardon my French, which isn't French. I'm just blatantly swearing in English. Let me quickly, we're going to take a quick tangent and look at this Astley Hall in Chorley, which supposedly Chorley Park was named after in Lancashire. So here it is here, another castle-like old world building. These big turrets on the front. It looks like they've put glass in them now. Taken some of the brick out and put glass. That's weird. Train going by in the background, by the way. It's nice enough to still have the window open, even though it's winter up here. But yeah. So Astley Hall is a country house in Chorley, Lancashire, England. The building is now owned by the town and is known as Astley Hall Museum and Art Gallery. The extensive landscaped grounds are now Chorley's Astley Park. The site was acquired in the 15th century by the Chamak family from the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem. Oh, isn't that the Knights Hospitalier, in other words? Oh, isn't that interesting? So there's a link with this place with the, the offshoots, the Masons and the Templars and all that stuff. So it started, same thing, with a timber-framed house sometime around 1575. Okay. In 1665, Margaret Chamak married Richard Brooke of Mere in Cheshire, son of Sir Peter Brooke. Sure, okay, I don't know who any of these people are. Whatever, okay. And they built the present grand but asymmetrical front range of brick with a pair of vast mullion and transomed bay windows. So it was originally built with those? Back in 1665. All right. This front has a doorway with distinctly rustic Ionic columns, remarkable at such a late date. The interior is notable for the staggering mid-17th century plasterwork in the ceilings of the Great Hall and drawing room, with heavy wreaths and, cherubs, of course. The ceilings are barbaric in their excesses. What does that mean? And the figures are relatively poorly modeled, although the undercutting is breathtaking. Wow, it's a left-handed compliment if I've ever heard one. So apparently this place has been around for a long time, and so they named Chorley Park after this place. Okay. Why not? I mean, that's not a big surprise. A lot of stuff in Canada land is named after stuff over in England or in the UK in general. Anyway, let's look at this Casa Loma too, because Chorley Park and that mansion were not far away from Casa Loma, as mentioned in the Wikipedia article. Oh no, I think it was from that blog, actually. They were saying that it wasn't far from Casa Loma, which is an interesting name for a place in Canada, a Spanish-sounding name. Again, links for all of these are in the description box below, including this from the Wikipedia. Casa Loma. Stop doing that, Frankie. Jeez. Casa Loma, improper Spanish for hill house, is a Gothic revival castle-style mansion and garden in Midtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada, that is now a historic house museum and landmark. It was constructed from 1911 to 1914 as a residence for financier Sir Henry Pellet. The architect was E.J. Lennox, who designed several other city landmarks. Casa Loma sits at an elevation of 140 meters or 460 feet above sea level, 66 meters or 217 feet above Lake Ontario. All right, big deal. So it's up on a big hill. So, in other words, there could be more stuff underneath it, is really what they're trying to tell us without actually trying to tell. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Morgan knows of it. Hello, Marit. Hidden in plain sight. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, this place is a beauty. Look at this place. Hey, look, a construction photo. Wow. A couple of hoists and some people sitting outside. Sure, okay. I guess that passes as a construction photo these days. Due to its unique architectural character in Toronto, Casa Loma has been a popular filming location for movies and television. It's also a popular venue for wedding ceremonies, and Casa Loma can be rented in the evenings after the museum closes to the public. Now, why couldn't they do any of this at Chorley Park in the Chorley Estate? Why, oh, why, oh, why? Could they not do that? Like for Government House, right? You know what I'm saying? The one that they tore down in 59? Why couldn't they go through all of this hullabaloo with that place too? And make some money. Have it as a hotel, convert it to a hotel or a bed and breakfast. It'll pay for itself, man. You want to have your wedding here? $1,000. You want your wedding party to stay overnight? Get $500 a night per room or whatever. You know, banquet hall rental, whatever. You know. So you can do that with Casa Loma, but you couldn't do it with the Government House. So they had to knock it down in 59. So a brief history here, you know, in 1903, some fat cat commissioned some other fat cat to design the place, and they start building it in 1911, starting with the massive stables, potting shed, and hunting lodge, aka coach house. A few hundred feet to the north of the main building. The hunting lodge is a two-story, 4,300 square foot house with servants' quarters. As soon as the stable complex was completed, Pellet sold his summer house in Scarborough, which burned down in the 20s, of course. But the Lennox designed groundskeeper's home at 12 Courcelette Road remains to his son and moved to the hunting lodge. The stables were used as a construction site for the mansion and also served as the quarters for the male servants, with some of the machinery still remaining in the rooms under the stables. Wait, there's rooms under stables? So the stables have a basement, I guess, is what they're saying. So they built the stables and the potting shed first, then the castle. All right. But that's, I guess, so they could use the stables as a workshop while they were building the castle, which makes sense, but it's also served as the quarters for the servants, so they had to live and sleep in there while it was also a construction area. So that's pleasant. Waiting on some fat cat hand over foot all day long. When you finally head hits the pillow, you got to sleep in a construction building. The house cost about $3.5 million. It took 300 workers 3 years to build. 333. Due to the start of WW1, construction was halted. Oh, that old story. Oh, it was halted at 98 rooms, covering 200,000 square feet. It was the largest private residence in Canada. Notable amenities included an elevator, an oven large enough to cook an ox. That's odd, but okay. People still ate ox in the 19 teens. You can't just have a cow, a beef. 2 vertical passages for pipe organs, a central vacuum, 2 secret passages in Pellet's ground floor office, a pool, 3 bowling lanes in the basement. Last 2 were never completed. Wow. It's a lot of hubbub. 2 passages for pipe organs, plural. So it had more than one pipe organ in this guy's house. Yeah, 88 rooms, right? Donkulous. Most of the 3rd floor was left unfinished and today serves as the Regimental Museum for the Queen's Own Rifles Regiment of Canada. Pellet joined the regiment as a rifleman and rose through the ranks to become the commanding officer. He was knighted for his dedication to the regiment. Pellet later served as the honorary colonel and was promoted to major general upon retirement. I feel like retiring. You're promoted. During the Depression that followed the war, the city of Toronto increased Casa Loma's property taxes from $600 a year to $1,000 a month. And Pellet, already experiencing financial difficulties, auctioned off $1.5 million in art and $250,000 in furnishings. Yeah, it sounds like he was already experiencing some financial difficulties, that he had $1.5 million worth of art and $250,000 worth of furniture or furnishings. It's not even furniture. Furnishings are things like curtains and pillows and rugs and lamps and stuff. Pellet was able to enjoy life in the mansion for less than 10 years, leaving in 1923. This guy spent almost $4 million over 3 years to build this thing, and then he only lived in it for 10 years. Okay, then it changed hands and ownership a bunch of times. During the war, the stables were used to conceal research and production of sonar and for the construction of sonar devices for U-boat detection. The area was closed behind a under repairs sign. Yeah, that'll keep the spies out. Yeah, break. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Gunther, jawohl. I want you to go inside this building and see what is going on behind those closed doors, yeah? Jawohl. And then Gunther reports back later on. So, Gunther, Private Gunther, what did you learn? I didn't learn anything. And why not? There was a sign saying under repair. Give me a break. Oak room. It has a room decorated entirely in oak. It was originally called the Napoleon Drawing Room, but we have to change that because that's not politically correct, because Napoleon was bad. But it's okay for Ridley Scott to make a shitty movie about him. But anyway, it's encased in wood panels in the style of Grinling Gibbons. What is that? Oh, some guy, a Anglo-Dutch sculptor. Okay. It took 3 artisans 3 years to carve. Again, lots of threes there. The highly ornamented plaster ceiling was made by Italian craftsmen and was enhanced by the use of indirect lighting in the ceiling. Among other fixtures, the room featured a 10-foot-high Louis XVI style full gilt carved light standard with 24 bulbs. Okay. So there weren't any craftsmen in Canada at all? You had to bring in some Italian craftsmen? There's not any good French-Canadian craftsmen over in Montreal or Quebec that you could bring into Ontario, over into Toronto? It's not that far. No, Italy or nothing. Okay. Main floor had a billiards room, conservatory, dining hall, a great hall, a library, the Oak Room, Peacock Alley. Sounds like a strip club. Sir Henry's study, serving room, and a smoking lounge. Second floor had Sir Henry's suite and Sir Henry's bathroom, Lady Pellet's suite and her bathroom, a Girl Guides exhibit, That's weird. Guest suite, Windsor room, and round room. The third floor has the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada Regimental Museum. Stairs to the towers, the Kiwanis room, the garden room, servants room, the Austin room. Oh, look, a basement, people. Gift shop, bowling lanes, and shooting range. Never complete. Oh, he was going to have bowling lanes and a shooting range in his basement. Wow. The Castle Cafe gymnasium, never completed. Swimming pool, never completed. Why are they listing it as being in the basement if it was never completed? Or is it in now? It was never, the original was never completed, but there's one now? I don't know. That's very confusing. Wine cellar and tunnel to the hunting lodge. There you go. Tunnel to the hunting lodge and stables. Separate buildings. Stables. The garage, potting shed, standing stalls with horses' names and box stalls, carriage room, tack rooms, hunting lodge, and of course the tunnel. Don't forget to mention the tunnel. Exterior has gardens and a parking lot. Oh, they have a vintage car exhibit too. Look at this. This place has got everything. So it's a popular film location. Look at all these movies. X-Men, Strange Brew, Chicago, The Tuxedo, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Warehouse 13, Crimson Peak, Twitches, some of these I've never heard of, Twitches 2, The Pacifier, and Titans. It stood for Wayne Manor. Comic books and children's novels that have used it include Scott Pilgrim series, Eric Wilson's Murder Mystery, The Lost Treasure of Casa Loma. It was temporarily transformed into Hogwarts for the release of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, as well as the Beast Castle for Disney's 2017 live action Beauty and the Beast remake of the 1991 animated film. In the CBC television show Being Erica, the episode Mi Casa Su Casa Loma, oh, how clever, features Casa Loma prominently. Goosebumps, like they filmed everything in this place. Now, look, they could have filmed a bunch of stuff at the official government house, too, had they not knocked that down in 59. You see all the stuff that they're doing at this place? A lot of his spooky stuff, too, right? I wonder why it's all has to do with death and ghosts and spookiness and strange stuff going on. How much you want to... Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know, how much you want to bet they want to try to say it's haunted or stuff like that too, right? Terry says she took the tunnels. Creepy. Huh. Very interesting. Awakening Soldier says Westminster Abbey used to be a German castle, had to change the name roughly 250 years ago. Well, yeah, I mean, the lineage of the current British royal family goes back to Germany too, right? Didn't they change their name to their last name to, I don't even remember what it is, to be honest with you. But they changed it. Because during the WW1, I think, or was it WW2? I can't remember. So it sounded too German. Much too German. So Terry shared another website or another link here to a website. What is this? Is this a blog as well? Yeah, there's another blog. Link in the description below for this. It's got a bunch of nice photos and stuff. So I think I'm going to quickly share a bit of this as well. I won't share the whole thing, but again, at your leisure, you can have a look-see at it. Okay, let me just quickly go back up here for a bit. All right, so this is all that remains today. Now, this photo is from 1911 because this is during the construction phase, but this is basically what's left today. Ridiculous, right? Simply ridiculous. How do I get out of here now? How do I get out of this thing here now? I don't want to stop sharing. I just want to close this picture. This ain't working for a guy. Well, it's operator error is what it is. It's working fine. It's I'm not working properly. But there's this bird's eye. So yeah, apparently you have this sort of a roundabout thing. I don't know why. Then you have this bridge, which has got an arched opening on the bottom. Then you have this sort of raised area again with the main entrance. You can see the whole thing is just built up on a raised platform or raised grounds. What a beauty. Like, why would you want to tear this down? It's just so stupid. They couldn't explain it, is what it is. Oh, it's too expensive. Well, but you can keep other ones. You can keep other ones up, but this one's too expensive, so you got to knock it down. It's from 1951, just before they bloated the darn thing up. That is beautiful. What a shame, you know, just a shame. Yeah, and this is what remains. There you go. Great. Thanks for saving us this concrete arch bridge thing. That's so great that you saved that. Here's Casa Loma. In what year was this? 1914, Casa Loma. Look at this. So this we can keep. The other one, nope. Got to knock it down. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm glad they kept this one. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I wanted them to knock them both down. That would be redonkulous. Nobody would want that. Anyway, I say, look, there's the Queen. But before she was the Queen, I think. Princess Elizabeth leaves the Lieutenant Governor's suite in the autumn of 51. A few months later, in February of 52, she would begin her long reign as Queen Elizabeth II. Oh, I say, lovely. Lovely. Casa Loma is, well, it sounds like it should be in Spain or maybe somewhere in South America or Central America or Mexico. But no, it's in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Good old Toronto. Oh, there she is as the Queen coming back for another visit. Hello. Hello, royal subjects. Hello. Welcome. Look at this place. Yeah, we got to tear this down. Just, I mean, they were just having trouble explaining. I mean, normally they would just take the tech off and dumb it down a bit, you know, and just say, you know, like, we'll turn it into a convent or a school for blind kids or I don't know, whatever dumb stuff they make up. But this time they just decided to knock it right down. And like the inside is just as beautiful as the outside. Look at the ceiling. Look at all this detail up here. It's ridiculous. This is just one of the bedrooms. See, this could have been a hotel. They could have just made this a fancy upscale hotel. They would have made their money back. And then some real quick. The drawing room. Where you do your drawings, I guess. I don't know. What the hell? Reception room. Where you receive your royal guests and dignitaries. Oh, look, it's splendid. This place is a beauty, though. I'm kind of making fun, but it's a beauty. I mean, come on. Look at this. These little turlets or whatever they called them, the little conical domes on top. That's just fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. I'm baffled and befuddled at them tearing this down. Just, I don't get it. Why? Why? All right, so what are we gonna do here? Where are we at? We're at about just past an hour. I'm going to open up a folder that Terri has created and shared with Guy. Just let me give it a couple of clickety clicks. Yeah, so this is going to be the trolley park / that government house, right? The one that they knocked down in 59. There's the ballroom. Yeah, that had to go. That had to go. Now we saw a picture of this with a polar bear, but now we can kind of get in nice and close, eh? Look at all this. What a beautiful place. Just bye-bye. Even way up here, you know, just all this dental molding or whatever that is. Yeah, I agree. Very grandiose. I mean, it's this place is just, it's a beauty. It's such a shame, you know, such a shame. Here's the greenhouse. That's up on a slope too. The whole place is up on different slopes and levels. Like, what's going on here? Why do you have a door here? And then you go down and you got this. What the? Okay. Well, all right. Moving on. It's a nice postcard. But yeah, like, why is it so built up? Like, what's down in here? A guy wonders. Like, if we could get a backhoe and an earth mover and dig all this away, like, what's down in here? What's under all this? Like, they say, oh, that's just for the horse and carriage to come and clippity cloppity, and people get off here, and then it goes over here, clippity cloppity, and goes on the roundabout and comes back, and yay, clippity cloppity, you know? Here's another. We looked at this, but can get in real nice and deep, like, eh? Beauty. Oh, this is the lodge. See, even that, I mean, this is a good size house. I mean, it looks puny next to this thing. Of course, the government house, because that's a castle. So look puny next to it. But I mean, this is a 2-story with mud flood, so 3-story, and room enough for another story or floor up in the attic space, I guess, if you wanted to put some dormers up in there to let some light in. Looks like it's made out of big stone as well, and even some fancy little. You know, what's this fancy place? Oh, it's just my hunting lodge. If it's your hunting lodge, why so? Well, I like my hunting to be fancy hunting. Jeez. Yeah, see, down here, little funny, little suspiciously low windows. Like, I think there's probably a couple of floors underground on this thing, and I'm not talking a basement. Like, I think, sure, there's probably a basement, but I mean, there's a basement, and then there's a basement here, down here, and then there's a floor, and then a floor that they call the basement, and then, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Goodness gracious. You get your ether fencing up here and all your tech, all your antiquotech and nodes and bobules and doodads all over it. Got this beautiful little, I was going to say it's a bijou balcony, but it's not. It's like a full big terrace style balcony here, French doors. I mean, this is fantastic. It's a good thing they knocked it down because it's such an old eyesore. These beautiful trees too. Because again, it's in that sort of ravine area. So it's all natural parkland and stuff. Here they're calling this Charlie Park Hospital, built in 1916 as Ontario's Lieutenant Governor's residence, is now a 550-bed military hospital and temporary rest place for Canadian war heroes. So why couldn't you just keep it then as a veterans retirement facility? It'd be like a fancy hotel, but it's for, Canadian war veterans and they could retire there. It'd be like a residence. At least you could do after, sending them off to some far-flung country to fight some cockamamie made-up crap. This is the sitting room. You just go in here and you just sit. Wait, I thought this was the receiving room. Are you going to sit in there or receive in there? So this is that raised court bridge. See, and this is just a big giant circle, just a big giant roundabout. So that's what I'm thinking is, the horse and carriage would drop off, the queen or the king, King George V or something, would get off. And then the horse would cross here and go around. And then off they'd go. Awfully fancy. Beautiful. What? Dragon Sage said that the old Central High School in Toronto had a pipe organ. Wonder why you would need a pipe organ in a high school. Doesn't make much sense to me. Anyway, there's one photo here. Oh yeah, this is basically what we got today. Great. Super nice. As opposed to this gloriousness. Look at all this in the back, by the way. Back here. What's going on back here? More conical domes and turrets and just more castles on the hills over here. And it's not just this Chorley house, too. Look, there you go. There's something here. I don't know. Some gazebo or some fancy with pillars. But it's like it's the whole kit and caboodle, right? All this property, all the landscaping. Beautiful. You telling me you couldn't find a way to keep this and have it pay for itself? And people were calling for it to be torn down. Yes, there was public outrage that this eyesore was still standing. Anyway, I want to roll back to one photo for a second here, because this is another thing that got Terry and I kind of laughing back and forth through emails behind the scenes. I'm trying to find where was it now? Bear with me. It's amateur hour here at the New West Reset show. There was one particular one. Is it this one? No. Anyway, there was one of these I thought there was where you could see the brickworks in the background, and that's the other photos in here that Terri shared, is the Don Valley brickworks. So apparently they built the castle right next to this. That's what they're trying to tell us. They're trying to tell us that when the queen or a king or a duke or a baron or some official or some the popera, he coming to Toronto for some reason, and the popera would come and stay. They'd put him up in that government house next to this. In fact, they go so far as to say they used a lot of what's quarried out of this to build the government house and the Casa Loma and a bunch of the other fancy houses. So you mean to tell me that they built that beautiful $3.5 million government house or whatever? No, sorry, that was the other house. The $1 million government house that was supposed to cost $215,000, but ended up costing them $1 million. They built it next to this fiasco with these smokestacks billowing out black smoke because it's a brickyard. My granddaddy worked at a brickyard, by the way, during the off season because he was a farmer. But yeah, just all of this mess is in Don Valley, where that beautiful castle-like government house is. And look at the size of it. Like these are buildings. Look how huge supposedly this Don Valley Brickworks is. This says 1908. So this supposedly, according to their narrative, what existed before the government house was built on its location that it was when they tore it down in 1959. So they're trying to tell us that they built that next to this. And, the Pope or king or queen would stay there. Yeah, no complaints. No complaints at all. Everything's just fine. We love staying next to a noisy, smoke-billowing brickyard and brick factory. It's luxurious. Yes, there was when it was pulling double duty as a military hospital. More staff than patients, it looks like. But yeah, that's that's what they just decided, that they were going to build this beautiful castle next to this giant pit of garbage. They're going to spend $1 million to do it, which is 4 times their budget. And they're going to be super proud of it. They're going to say it was worth it so that big shots can stay there. And when they look out their window, this is what they're going to see, I guess. I don't know. It's so stupid, man. It's so stupid. I just, yeah, that's their view. Just sit out on that beautiful little balcony there and have a nice cup of tea in the morning. You're the Baroness of, I don't know, Hungary, or the Duke of whatever, or the King or Queen of whatever, right? Get out of here with this BS. It's the stupidest, most redonkulous crap ever. It's, you know what it is? It's got to be like the topic of last week's show, when Benedict Arnold decided he was going to invade Quebec City to try to take Canada during the American Revolutionary War. And he thought he'd bring about 1,000 guys out to do it. And you know what? We'll go up and do it in the winter. We'll do it right in December. because it's not cold up in Canadian land around the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River, which, feeds the freaking Atlantic Ocean. Getting toward the North Atlantic too, by the way, that part of Canada. Well, that's fine. It has to be that it's so stupid that they're going to have to believe it, is I think what they were thinking when they came up with that whole story. The powers who should not be, when they're rubber stamping all these goofy narratives. I think that they just thought to themselves, this is so stupid that they're going to believe it, because they're going to think, this is so dumb. It's got to be real. You can't make this up. And I think that's the same thing with this one too. Oh, they tore it down in 59 because we couldn't afford it anymore. Really? But that one a few blocks away, the Casa Loma, that's making money hand over fist. They're filming movies there. People are having weddings there. No. That one's fine, but we got to tear down this other one next to the brickyard where the queens and popes used to stay. Again, it's they got to be thinking that it's so stupid that they're going to have to believe us. It's no other way around it, the way I'm looking at it. But anyway, so what are we looking at here? We're about midway, actually just a little more than midway through the show. So what I think I'm going to do here is take a quick little break for about 3.5 minutes-ish, there and abouts, give or take. Just a mid-show break here, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek at your vintage footage video coming up midweek, this coming Wednesday. And then when we come back, we're going to have a look at a couple of other things that I found, just to kind of drive home the point, just to beat a dead horse. So the footage I have for you is going to be coming up Wednesday, your vintage footage, and it's of Montreal from 1943. So right when Canadian land was still deeply involved in WW2, being part of the Commonwealth and all whatnots, and not only are you seeing the beautiful old world buildings in the background, but still a lot of hustle and bustle. Anyway, it's just right around the 3-minute mark. Stick around. Be right back. That didn't work whatsoever. Let me try it again. I told you it's amateur hour around here. Dag nabbit. There it is. All right. Be right back. All right. That's enough of that. We are back. We are back. We are back. Hello. Thank you very much once again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video there during the break. Annie, Orphan Annie says, later, everyone. I'm going to take a rest now. Thank you very much for shooting in. As always great to see you, Annie. Thank you very, very much. Have yourself a pleasant evening, a good night. Yes, a great cover of a great Led Zeppelin track. Led Zeppelin is one of my favorite bands. Come on. That was a nice cover, an instrumental. Jeff Healey, the late, great Canadian blues rock legend, Jeff Healey on guitar, and John Popper from Blues Traveler on the harmonica. So, yeah. Sage says, my band does this way cooler. Ouch. It was, wasn't it? Yes. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, eh? Thanks a lot there, eh? So if you're just joining me, what took you so dang long? I'm just joking. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here. Of course, it's Frankie, New West Reset, and this is New West Reset Live. Episode 53 here tonight, just past 8:30 p.m. local time, mountain time here on this Friday, February 16th. Gone down to a chilly -8 Celsius right now. That's still not bad. It was a lovely day today. I hope you're having a lovely time and I'll kick off the lovely weekend. Happy Friday to you. Thanks for kicking off your weekend here with me, yours truly, up here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So tonight, on the 53rd episode of the show, we're looking at, well, we already looked at a little bit of the theme here, which is they destroyed a castle to save a factory. Because, we're going to look at some interesting stuff here. We already looked at some really great links to some blogs and some articles and some photos that were shared by Terri Light, who's in the box right now. Yeah, no sirens yet. Of course, now that we've said it, we're going to hear 3. We'll hear an ambulance, and then we'll hear a fire truck, and then we'll hear a cop car, not necessarily in that order. Anyway, so yeah, it's kind of a collaboration of sorts because Terri did some fine work digging up a bunch of this stuff, looking at a couple of old world Canadian castle-like mansions in Toronto. Looked at the old government house that they knocked down in 1959. We also looked at Casa Loma, which still stands. It's just a couple of blocks away from the old government house, which they destroyed it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Frankie, please tell me that the brickworks factory is still there at least. I mean, they knocked down that castle-like house so they could save that place, didn't they? That brickwork? And well, don't fret. Don't you fret now, because it's still there. Thank goodness. Thank goodness it's still there. Let's have a look here. I know, you can all breathe a sigh. You can all breathe a sigh of relief that this place is still there. This is that same blog, a different blog, but the same blog. You know what I mean? It's blog TO. It's a different article. Toronto was built by the Don River and the valley it carved, literally. So a river and a valley built the city? No. That's not what they're saying. They're saying the river carved the valley and the stone from the valley and the clay from the valley that made the bricks. That built the city. Oh, okay. The substantial clay and shale deposits found in the bottom of the river valley were quarried, shaped, baked, and stacked for buildings such as Casa Loma, Massey Hall, the Ontario Legislature at Queen's Park. Elsewhere in Canada, Dawn Brick I guess Don Valley, Don Valley Brickworks, so Don Brick, I guess, went into the Acadia Apartments in Montreal and the Timothy Eaton buildings in Winnipeg and Moncton. They shipped bricks all the way from Toronto to Winnipeg. That's like shipping bricks from Houston to Oklahoma City. The hell would you go and do a damn fool thing like that for? They got no stones and bricks in Winnipeg? Thanks to the fortuitous geography, the material that William Taylor discovered at the foot of Moore Park Ravine while staking out a fence for a paper mill in 1882 was absolutely perfect for construction. Well, wouldn't you know it? How lucky. This guy must have had a 4-leaf clover in his pocket or a rabbit's foot on his keys. Within a few years, a small divot in the ground had evolved into a full-scale quarry and production facility, turning out hundreds of thousands of bricks every day. Just in the bat of an eye. If right now you're sitting in a building built before the Second World War, there's a chance the walls came from Don Valley. I think they mean in Toronto. There's some photos that we looked at already. Don Valley bricks were the final step in a 400 million year process. Sure. Fast forwarding an eternity or so, and meltwater from the receding Laurentide ice sheet that once covered much of North America had formed a river mouth, roughly at the site of the brickworks. With the frigid water came vast amounts of clay in the form of silt, which was perfect material for bricks. Now we jump to 1892. While working at Todd Morden Mills, his father's paper factory, William Taylor was digging holes to support a fence around the edge of the property when a shovel turfed up a lump of good quality clay. "By gum," Bill said, "look at that good quality clay. Are you a clay man?" said a guy standing next to him. "Are you a geologist?" "Nope, I work in a paper mill, but I know good clay when I see it." Anyway, clearly a shrewd businessman, Taylor took a sample of the material to another brickworks in Toronto to have it tested. That brickworks didn't bop him over the head and lay claim to the place before Taylor could come to and claim it for himself? Apparently not. I mean, it is the 1890s and the Wild West, Canadian land after all, so. As you probably guessed, the bricks were good. Within 5 years, Taylor and his two brothers, William and George, had secured the land and started the Don Valley Brickworks and Quarry to capitalize on his discovery. As the business grew, the Don Valley Pressed Brick Company produced 3 types of brick: soft mud, a mix of clay and river water; dry press, molded shale; and stiff mud, a mix of clay and shale with water. If Maggot's still here and in the box, he's probably fascinated by this, and he probably knows all of this anyways. But the Taylor's company was the only one to produce all 3 types of bricks at the same time. Canada. At the same time, Canada? At the same time in Canada? The spelling at this blog.to or whatever, they need help. The quality was considered so high that the bricks won prizes at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. Really? Did they fire test it? And the 1984 Toronto Industrial Fair. Wow, it won 2 awards in 90 years. By the way, they have brick contests? That's weird. Shortly after, in 1901, the Taylors sold the business to their brother-in-law, Robert Davies. Well, if it was going great guns so good and winning awards, why would you sell it? Especially to your dumbass brother-in-law? Anyway, production steadily ramped up in the early part of the 20th century, partly in response to the destruction caused by the Great Toronto Fire of 1904. And there it is. And the new laws that followed, prohibiting the use of combustible construction materials. Can't build your house out of wood no more. Take off, eh? I'm going to build it out of whatever I want to, eh? Good Canadian maple, eh? No, you got to use Don Valley bricks. By 1907, The packed kilns were turning out 85,000 to 100,000 bricks each and every single day. Once cooled, the building material was loaded onto rail cars or carted out of the valley using Pottery Road. Around this time, the valley chimney, the only one still standing, was constructed to vent one of the kilns. So the kilns, they were using those kilns the whole time before without vents. It's crazy. They can explode. You got to have a vent in your kiln. Yeah, that's right. Their bricks were so renowned and won so many awards that they thought, well, we gotta knock down this castle to make room for more brickworks. What's Maggot saying? Lots of clay just won't hit the right temperature. Whiter the clay, the higher the temp can go. Ah, see, there you go. See, that's good stuff. Thank you, Maggot. Appreciate that. The company changed hands several more times, and production eventually reached a peak of 25 million bricks a year. That's a lot of bricks, man. In the 1920s, the geologist A.P. Coleman used the walls of the excavated pits and fossils gathered by workers to help trace much of the area's glacial history through the various layers of rock, producing his book Ice Ages, Recent and Modern in 1926. In WW2, the factory employed prisoners of war housed at the nearby Todmorden Mills. Wait, they were holding war POWs at a mill and then making them work at a brickwork? That's weird. With all them bricks coming out of this Don Valley brickwork, why couldn't they build a prison? Apparently they got bricks coming out the wazoo in this place. No, we can't use bricks to build the prisons, only to build castles that we then tear down 40-ish years later. Oh, of course, how silly of me. Anyway. The disused site was first earmarked for residential use, but the land was expropriated in 1987 because of its position on the Don River floodplain. Unfortunately for the TRCA, whatever that is, the residential designation pushed up the value of the land significantly. Over the next few years, the gaping quarries were gradually filled in using material excavated from the foundations of Scotia Plaza, and landscaped ponds were created in their place. So when they're building the new Scotia Plaza Tower in downtown Toronto, whatever crap they dug out of the ground down there from the old world, plus dirt and whatnot, I guess, they filled in the quarry. In 2010, after decades of dereliction, Evergreen, a Canadian nonprofit organization that aims to connect nature and people, took stewardship of the site and renovated many of its historic features as a reminder of the past. Bricks still litter the surrounding hillside. Well, thank God. Thank God Almighty in heaven above for Evergreen, for coming in and saving some shitty brick factory. No, don't worry about the government house, the beautiful castle that was right next door to it. No, you can frickin' tear that down all the live long day. But whatever you do, do not destroy that brick factory. For crying out loud. That's the stupidest thing. So I've bookmarked an article from Toronto Life online. Again, links for all of this down in the rectangular shaped description box below. And a fellow even learned how to do like a highlight beforehand, so I can highlight what I wanted to read you here. But as mentioned, this is from torontolife.com online. Hopefully I can get to it and it's not behind a paywall this time, like one other time I tried. Oh, good. Here we go. Perfect. Perfectamundo, as Arthur Fonzarelli would say. You know, the Fonz. Anyway. All right. So this is a lady who grew up Her house that she grew up in was on the edge of that ravine, the Rosedale ravine, where the brick factory is. I grew up on the edge of the Rosedale ravine in an ivy-covered, muddy brick house built in 1927 on top of a decommissioned city dump by my architect grandfather. Okay, this already sounds too good to be true, but anyway. By the 1970s, our house was sinking into the valley at an alarming rate. The walls and floors became more cracked and tilted with every mud softening spring. At times, it felt like there was no escaping the ravine or the family lore that kept us there long after my parents could afford the house. Even now, I rarely fly in my dreams. More often, I find myself at the bottom of a valley, floating in some deep, dark pool. Ooh, very dramatic. But here the writer goes on to say, the ravine was my first playground, the place where my friends and I first tasted sap on the bark of maple trees, where we smoked our first cigarettes and kept our first trysts. I don't know what that means, but I don't care. Anyways, stinging nettles were a small price to pay for the thrill of exploring the edge of the unknown. We spent hours listening to the metallic crash of the city's creeks as the water echoed through storm sewers and mixed with the familiar smell of concrete runoff. Some days we roamed even farther to watch the river of traffic as it poured through the Don Valley just beyond the brickworks. The factory sat on the edge of my playground, foreboding and off limits, like some kind of industrial inferno etched by William Blake. Belching smoke out of its chimney, we could feel the rumble of dynamite blasting clay and shale each morning, rattling the neighborhood windows and shaking the ground. Although factory operations had slowed down by the 70s, the kilns continued to fire bricks well into the 80s, the 1980s, that is. The 120-foot deep scar of the quarry laid bare hundreds of thousands of years of geology. We could feel the rumble of dynamite blasting clay and shale each morning, rattling the neighborhood windows and shaking the ground. And this is where the Popera and the Queen and any other fancy schmancy Peter Pansy type person would stay, in that government house built beside this brickwork, with smoke belching out and dynamite blasting and the ground rattling windows. Are you kidding me? Because they say that the brickworks were founded or whatever before that government house was built. So by their own official narrative, they're saying that they just decided that that's where they were going to build that government house, right next to this freaking brickyard. I think it's the other way around. I think that government house castle thingy was there long before any stupid brickworks was dug into the ground. They came along, they found it, they gave it a nice Victorian tart up, fixed it up, repurposed it to a government house for the, I don't know, lieutenant general or whoever, or some big shot that wants to come and visit Canada land, the Queen or whatever. And don't worry, Pope or Your Majesty or Your Highness or whatever, of the rumbling and the shaking of the windows every morning. That's just dynamite from the quarry next door. There's no way. That beautiful old government house is an old world building, pre-reset, that was slightly mud flood buried, but not enough to be completely discarded. There's still enough of it poking up out of the ground where they could fix it up and repurpose it and reuse it. Because there's no way that they were going to spend $1 million in 3 years or whatever it was building that beautiful castle-like structure next to a freaking brickyard. Yeah, I mean, there's no way. It's the stupidest thing ever. Just ridiculous. Oh, is that what that is? Ah, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Snogging. I see. Okay. Thank you. Live a pretty sheltered life here in the frozen north in Canada, eh? So, but isn't that the stupidest thing you've ever heard in your life? I don't know. I think that's pretty dang dumb, if you ask me. Anyway, what do you say we just do a goggle drop down here and see what's what, shall we? Let's look at the goggle maps real quick here and see what's going on. Let me just share this here with you real quick. Scoodly-doo. So here's the area we're talking about. Toronto, right here in southeastern Ontario. You can see Ontario's a big beauty piece of land there, eh? She's got the James Bay here, Hudson's Bay up there. You get some cold and stuff here, but down here she's nice and warm. You got your Great Lakes. You got the Canadian Shield here where they mine, tin, copper, gold, all that stuff. Iron, nickel. So let's drop down here into Toronto. All right. So this is that Casa Loma, I think. Oh, no, that's Charlie Park. Where's Casa Loma? Might as well. It's just a few blocks away. There it is. Casa Loma. This place is... Let's drop the dude right here. Ah! Oh, it scares me every time. They should animate a parachute on the little guy at least, But you see here, like, this is all raised, right? We saw how the land slopes up here and all this. So, like, this entire sort of courtyard in the front, rotunda, I don't know what you would call this. Like, it's got these slabs of stone, I'm guessing, of some kind, or I don't know, concrete made to look like stone. Probably some stone, and then they've had to fill in some concrete to fix it. Who knows? But one wonders, like, what's underneath this too? Like, why can't this just be a continuation of the gardens with just the nice walkway going right up to the main entrance, I mean, look at this. So this one still stands today. This one is perfectly fine. She's been in enough movies and TV shows where you got to kind of keep her up now. But Chorley House now. No, that one you gotta just knock it down. It's garbage. You can't film movies and have weddings at that place. It's crappy. There's crappy fencing here, but I'm trying to catch a peekaboo at what's going on down here, but But yeah, what a beaut. What a beaut. Love that place. All right. So this is Chorley Park, and this is where the lieutenant governor's place used to be, is in this area. And they just had to get rid of it. That's all that's left of it, is this. This is it. This is it. Great. Oh, but thank goodness Thank goodness the freaking brickworks are still here. Oh, that was a close one, people. I got scared that they were gonna get rid of this place. I got so scared. But no, they saved it. Now it's now a farmer's market, a flea market, and a couple of hipster doofus arts and crafts stores, and I don't know where you can get, I don't know, buy bell-bottom pants and crystals to wear around your neck. I don't know whatever hipsters do these days. They wear turquoise-colored skinny jeans and go skateboarding. I don't know what hipsters do, but so well, thank goodness that this place is still here. Thank goodness it's still here, so that old normies have a place to come and have a cup of coffee. Thank goodness. There isn't even any place to sit where you can look over the valley from here. Well, I guess maybe back here. I can't even get back there. Oh, good. I can get inside. Yippee, who cares? Children's garden. So this is just for kids. So if you want to get a cup of coffee and like sit down here and look over this beautiful view of this valley, no. You can sit and look at the parking lot of this beautiful brickworks that we saved. God bless them, eh? God bless them for saving it. I'm so happy. I can sleep tonight. I was going to toss and turn, people. I was going to be tossing and turning all night long. Worried. My worried mind was going to keep me awake. Oh, yeah, so this is that mill. This is that paper mill. Yeah, so the fellow worked at this paper mill, and he just decided, you know what? One day he just decided, I think I'm going to take me on my lunch break here. And I'm going to walk down into this here valley where that castle is and, see how the clay is. See if it's good enough to make bricks. Yeah, the prisoner mill. That's right. That's where the prisoners were. Hey, Mr. Beast fan in the box. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you. You snuck in on a fellow there. Sneaky, sneaky. Jabberoo Joe says, gotta run, Frankie. I have a meeting at the Labatt's 50 Club. Do you really? No, you don't. Quit lying. Quit lying. It's good to see you, though. Thanks for shooting in, bud. Appreciate it. Headley Man BC in the box. Hope you're doing just fine as well. Thanks for shooting in. So yeah, dodged a bullet there, folks. We dodged a bullet on this one. The level-headed, logically minded thinkers in Toronto, they managed to save the brickworks. Don't worry about the Chorley Park. We'll tear that down to hell. We don't give a shit about that whatsoever. It's just a castle. It's just a beautiful old world castle. One of a kind, breathtaking place that overlooks this beautiful valley. No, that's garbage. But this we got to save. This so we can put in a flea market and a farmer's market. Never mind just letting people grow their own tomatoes here that they can pick in this beautiful public space where a castle used to be. No, they'll still have to buy your tomatoes, but you can buy it at the farmer's market, I guess. I don't know. Just stupid. Stupid. Absolutely stupid. I think that's all I had to share with you on that Goggle Maps. And I think that was all I had to share with you with photos and links as well. So yeah, there you go. Crazy stuff, I'm telling you. This was eye-opening to me as well. So I gotta extend my thanks to Terri Light in the box here for all of her hard work looking into this thing. She gave me a heads up. Psst, psst, hey Frankie. Psst. on the email. She actually spelled out, psst, psst, hey, Frankie. Psst, hey, bud, come here. You want to see something stupid? Sent me a couple of links, put together a bunch of photos, and this is just, it was all new to me. I mean, obviously, I know that, when fancy highfalutin government people or, churchy people or whatever, royalty or whatever come to certain cities in Canada land, they stay at, the government houses, right? The lieutenant governor's place or whatever. Barring that, they stay at some other fancy place. Barring that, they stay at the fanciest of the fancy railroad castle hotels across Canada, right? Banff Springs Hotel, the Palliser Hotel here in Calgary. So that I was all aware of, but I had no idea, first of all, that there was four versions of that government house that were all destroyed or burnt down or some form or another, something. And then that fourth most glorious one, they just decided, it took us like only 5 years to build that thing, supposedly. And then it was up for like 40-ish years. And then, yeah, you know what? It's too expensive to maintain. So we're just going to knock it down. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind for knocking it down? Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's so elaborately stupid it had to be shared. That's right. And that's what I'm thinking is that, they're twirling their mustaches and wringing their evil hands together like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Right? Yes, Smithers. I have a diabolical idea, Smithers. What is it, sir? And they're thinking to themselves, we're just going to make up some stupid narrative on this. And it's going to be so stupid that the people are going to think, well, that's so dumb. It's got to be real. Because you can't make that up. Baffling and befuddling, people. Baffling and befuddling. I'm just going to double check Terry's email that she sent me real quick one last time just to see if I accidentally skimmed over, glossed over anything here. Real quick, fast, and in a hurry. Oh, yeah. That's right. There was a couple other photos I'll share real quick before I bow out for the evening. Doodle-doo-doo-doo. Which one are we sharing? This thing right here. Yeah, because there's some of these are on the thumbnail for the live stream anyways, but here's some photos of the demolition of this poor Chorley Park estate castle, the government house. Yeesh. What a silly looking little thing. This little guy did all that damage? Good for you, buddy. Wow, you must have had your high octane diesel for breakfast. Oh, of course, and you get your big swinging wrecking ball. It probably just bounced off this thing, and they swing the wrecking ball, right? And it bounces off this old world building, comes back, hits the crane mechanism, and breaks the crane. That's what I would love to see. I'd go over budget and pay $1 million to see that. And she started off like this, and by the time they were done with it, it's just nothing left. Bastards. Dirty, dirty bastards. I think that was it for the destruction photos. Oh, yeah, there was this too. That's right. The official story, it's true because they put it on a plaque and glued it to a rock. So Chorley Park was originally the property of Toronto Alderman John Hallam. Born in Chorley, Lancashire in 1911, the garden provided the setting for Ontario's last government house, which was designed by F.R. Heeks and built of Credit Valley stone in the French chateau style. The house stood at the end of a curving approach from the Roxborough Drive. From 1915, it was the imposing official residence for 5 lieutenant governors, where distinguished visitors and Toronto citizens attended levees, receptions, and charity balls, until closed for financial reasons in 1937. Acquired by the Government of Canada, it served as a military hospital from 1940 to 1953, and later as an RCMP headquarters for Toronto militia purposes. Chorley Park was purchased by the City of Toronto in 1960, and the building was demolished a year later when the site was developed as a public park. Wait a second, on this they're saying it was knocked down in 61, but in other sources they said 59. You know what was dumb is, like, first of all, it was acquired by the Government of Canada. The government could have kept it. Oh, it's too expensive to maintain. Don't give me that. Any expenses like that, they always slough off on the taxpayer anyway. So our taxes were paying for it, not the lieutenant governor. It's not like he was out mowing the lawn and fixing the roof. Got a leaky soffit on the roof. I gotta get the oldie ladder lean out and fix my eavesdropping on my old world castle. I mean, give me a break. And then the City of Toronto bought it. So the same thing, they could have kept it as a government building, which means, we're going to raise your taxes 0.7% amongst everybody in Toronto. And that'll go to pay for the maintenance of the Chorley Mansion. Either that or we're going to knock it down. I'm sure most Torontonians would be like, yeah, you know what? Charge me the extra, like, $18 a year in taxes or whatever to keep that beauty up. And anybody who didn't want it, give them a hammer and chisel and say, okay, well, you can go knock it down, but you got to do it by hand then. You can't use any machines, wrecking balls, controlled demolition with explosives. Nope. You get this copper chisel and a stone hammer. So there's plenty of opportunity. I mean, the RCMP were using it as a headquarters for the Toronto militia. So it could have become they could have redesignated it as a military building. And then it would have gotten all kinds of money, and Bob's your uncle, no problem. But nope. Yeah, that's right. You gotta demo it the way you claim it was built. All the stone hewn by hand. And raised up, stacked up using hoists. And then you got to haul the debris away with horse and buggy too, by the way. You can't use dump trucks, and you can't call 1-800-JUNK. You just have it towed away. So we just by randomly looking at that plaque, we found another discrepancy in the official story. 59, 61, close enough. A couple of years difference. People don't care. It's gone. It's knocked down. People are going to be too busy buying tomatoes and drinking coffee at the farmer's market over at the old brickworks that we saved, because apparently that wasn't too expensive to maintain and to keep. As you could tell, a fella's dander's raised up a little bit. This kind of thing gets me a little hot under the collar, to say the least. And with that said, there you go. Well, the people never notice, eh? That should be our national motto up here in Canada. Oh, for sure, bud. The people will never notice, eh? So there you go. Now I'm all riled up. Thanks a lot, Terry. Got me all riled up. I gotta go cool down. Have a sandwich or something, a cup of tea or something. My cockles are all standing on end, or I don't know. Is that right? Hackles? You know, when a cat's hair stands up on its back? I don't know what that's called. Cockles are in your heart, aren't they? I thought it was ventricles and atrium, but apparently it's cockles of your heart and the hackles on your back. I don't know. I'm not much of anything but a jackass, apparently. Hackles, thank you. Yeesh. That's all right. We're having a good time. We're having fun over here. Why not? You know, it's fun over here. We like to have fun.
So, Tommy, where have you been, huh? I've been watching Newest Reset. Huh? Well, you know, it's Newest Reset. It's this thing on YouTube. He goes around, he does his boots on the ground thing. They'll tell you.
Say you care.
So I think I'm getting ready to wind this thing down here, coming up on 2.25 hours. The cockles of your hackles. Okay, I'm not so riled up anymore. That's cheered me up a little bit. Thanks, Terry. Oh boy. So as per usual, links for everything in the description below. Thanks again for shooting in and joining me. Do one of these if you haven't already. And if you're on the fence about subscribing to a fella, you know, hey, I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire or drag you over the coals or nothing, but yeah, if you'd like to subscribe to a guy, that'd be nice. Thank you very much. If you're tuning in and watching this after the fact, I appreciate your support as well. And you can still, all those links are clickable, so you can kind of follow along if you want as well. So there you go. I think that is going to seal the deal here tonight for Frankie at New West Reset, where we destroy a castle to save a factory. Episode 53 here tonight on the live show. So once again, I appreciate all of you coming by for your Friday, kicking things off, kicking the weekend off with yours truly. It's my favorite part of the week. Normally on a Friday, a fella works an earlier shift. I'm usually off at about 2 in the afternoon. So that's why I can do the show around 5. Today I was off at 6 p.m. my time. So that's why I had to start it at 7. So a bit of a later start. So I appreciate your patience, and a lot of you are up really, really late right now, such as Hippie Shake, for example. I think it's you're 7 hours ahead of me over there, I think. So it's either really late or really early for you. So as per usual, Sunday, boots on the ground video. Going to see some snow, but it's been warm, so the snow is melting. Of course, you had your sneak peek at your midweek vintage footage. Montreal, 1943. That'll be coming up Wednesday, as always. And then we shall see you, as per usual, a week from today, next Friday. Back to the regular time schedule of around 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time-ish. Maybe even to make up for it. Maybe the guy will start earlier. I don't know. Maybe I'll start at 3 or 4 or something. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Lunchtime Saturday for Maggot. Yeah, because you're like 16 hours ahead of a guy. You're a time traveler. Yeah, it's Saturday afternoon for Maggot. It's Saturday morning, early Saturday morning for Hippie. And it's late night for a lot of East Coasters out there in the Eastern and Atlantic time zones. Just after 11 p.m. or just after midnight. Unless you're in Newfoundland, then it's like 11:45 right now or something crazy like that. Because they like to do things different in Newfoundland, eh? Their time zone is like a half hour instead of an hour. Oh, it's fine. I won't screw up everybody else. It's fine. We like it like that. Sheesh. God love them. God love them. So there you go. Thanks again, everybody. Have yourselves a good one. And until the next one, take care out there. I'll see you again real soon. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.